So really nice to have everyone here tonight. My name is Malin Rosqvist. I work as a program strategist for the Strategic Innovation Program PiiA, Process Industrial IT and Automation here in Sweden. And tonight we welcome you to the third Nordic IndTech event where PiiA is the host together with Automation Region. And we do this in collaboration with the Nordic Innovation House, Vinnova and Business Finland. And our hosts tonight are Peter Wallin from PiiA, Program Director, and we have also Daniel Bokvist from Automation Region, who is Deputy Manager and Program Manager for Research and Innovation at Automation Region. Welcome.
Thank you, Malin.
Wow.
And so good to see so many join us online.
Yeah.
What an exciting evening we hope this to be. So if I start a bit with talk about PiiA, so it's a strategic innovation program. It's funded by Vinnova, the Swedish energy agency, and Formas. So we have, it's a 12-year commitment from the Swedish government, and we have roughly $5 million each year in funding from the government, and then industry needs to put in the same amount of money as co-funding here. So we fund projects, we have some other initiatives, and we try to basically digitize the process industry. That's our goal. So of course it's a quite broad goal, but help Swedish companies become more innovative and excel in their digitization journey. So Daniel, Automation Region, what do you do?
Yeah, what we do, for you, those of you don't heard about Automation Region before, we are an innovation cluster with more than 150 members. And the surrounding network is, of course, much larger than that, of course. But we started in 2007 as an initiative to meet the increasing demand of skilled automation professionals. So companies here in the Mälardalen region connected and thought that by collaboration we can meet the industry, and the industry as a whole would benefit. So even if collaboration between the competitors would benefit the industry as a whole, and that mindset still guides Automation Region today. So IndTech.
No, we have a program as well for the workshop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. IndTech, Nordic IndTech. Peter will tell you a little bit more about the IndTech later, but we have a great program here today. Today's workshop, we will start out with some keynote speakers that you will set the tone for the coming brainstorm session that we have 2 of them. The first one will brainstorm around the challenges regarding the themes that we have for today. Then we have more keynote speakers after a short break where we together ideate about how might we work with these challenges that we have identified in the first. Then we will try to wrap up things and see what is the next step and what is the common vision, how can we work together also with the future steps coming ahead during this year. So, IndTech.
IndTech, yes. So the theme of today is, of course, how we can transform into more data-driven industry. And when we look at the industry today, I think we can see that we have a lot of automation systems that were installed during the 80s. There are proprietary systems, and now when we have all these new technologies coming, like 5G, AI, and so on, cloud computing, we need to somehow merge these two together to be able to use all these new technologies in the proprietary automation systems. And that's basically what we call IndTech. So IndTech is basically the glue between these proprietary automation systems and these new technologies. And when we talk about this glue, it's not just a technical proxy or something like that. It's the whole ecosystem and how we can excel our business in developing new business models. It's also how we can use data in a new way, what type of services do we have in the future, and so on. And if you look at this installed base of this proprietary automation system today, is roughly $5,000 billion worldwide. And of course, it's not just we're going to remove all these systems because we have these new technologies. We need to make these traditional technologies work with the new ones. So that's basically what we try to achieve with IndTech, how we can transform these proprietary systems into using these new technologies. And we look at this Nordic IndTech. It's oh, we need to change slide. Perfect, thanks. So Nordic IndTech, basically we're trying to bring together the world-leading automation companies that we have in the Nordics, together with the best-in-class emerging technology companies in Silicon Valley, and also how we can apply those technologies together with the Swedish-based industry, basically. So together we think we can have this collaboration between this sustainable and if you look at this type of industry, it's quite a lot of focus on sustainability now. And if we have the next slide, thanks. Then we have this sweet spot of Nordic IndTech when we see sustainability is actually being driven by this combining the new digital technologies with automation and IT systems. So I think we can excel in our sustainability journey by combining these new technologies, and they are a prerequisites to achieve this. But let's move on with the program. So we have some keynotes today, Daniel.
Yes, thank you for the introduction about IndTech. I couldn't say it better myself. That's why you said it. So I will try to introduce the keynote speakers. Today we have Peter Burman with us, who is the program manager in mine automation at Boliden. We have Prachi Vakharia, head of alliances and strategic partnerships at Safe AI. We have Rantala, director Application Engineering, Automation Digital Solution at MoGroup. Sorry about that, Ari. But let's start with the first keynote speaker. Ari, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
we can.
Yeah.
Great.
Hello from Porvoo, Finland. I have the nice city as a background here.
Great. It's
So
always a
plenty of
bit
snow.
nervous when you throw out the question like that, are you with us? And then you hope to get the reply. So it's really good you're with us.
Yeah, I'm here.
Perfect. I think we will leave the screen for you. So
All right, I try to share my screen here. So and push the share button. Yeah. Hopefully you're able to see the presentation.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Hello everyone. Thanks for having me in this workshop here. It's very interesting topic, of course, what you have here. I understand that this is like a 10 minutes keynote, kind of a appetizer for the topics here and the workshops and brainstorming. So the speech what I'm going to have here is about utilizing, we call it methodological digital twin and data in value chain optimization in minerals and metals processing processes and operations. And this is very interesting area, very topical area. We are heavily working in this, and it's very, very interesting new developments here, how we can really leverage the data in the format of digital twins for many useful tasks. But the time is running, so if I jump to just a brief introduction of Metso Autotech. I think some of you saw my colleague's presentation earlier in the workshop when we were Autotech. But last July, we merged with Metso, and together in a new company called Metso Autotech, we are a front runner in mining and metals business, a technology supplier and partner for many metal producing companies who are our main customers in these fields. And really with our technologies, we are bringing efficiency to the operations, improving the overall sustainability of the plants. And there you can see the figures of the new company as it stands at the moment. So company with a global footprint and some 15,000 employees around the world. The challenges, especially what the mining and metals industries are facing at the moment, are certainly there, probably quite common topics for many of us touching our industries, our customers, the people who are working in the industry. So the big topics are urbanization as a much affecting to the consumption of the metals, the need for metals here in this area. But on the other hand, we all know that the natural resources are getting more scarce, more difficult to really find and produce. And of course, with the climate change, there's a need for really new type of thinking and new type of solutions going forward in producing materials and metals for our purposes. And as the topic of this workshop is also how to leverage the digitalization, the data in the operations to make the operations more efficient. That's a very, very big topic, what we are working as well. With the new company, Metso Autotech, we are really able to provide solutions, end-to-end solutions, even from ore body to the finished metal. So the offering and the competencies are very, very wide. We have an extensive portfolio for processing equipment, processing solutions, and also lifecycle services to support customers in optimizing the operations and making them more efficient. And here, the automation and digital solutions where I'm working at, my background is, it's of course very important part of that, and expanding and developing all the time. And as a final introductory slide to the topic is that customers are really seeking roadmaps to improve the automation and digitalization levels of production plants in order to be more robust for raw material changes. In our industry, it means more robustness to the ore body changes, really to improve the transparency of the operations to leverage the data. And this is a very ongoing trend at, I would say, most of the mine operators or metal production plant operators. And now we are focusing on one of the key areas here. If you have your base layer automation in place at the plants, then it's really useful to really start benefiting from the data and the tools on top of that. If you think about the full production value chain optimization, here the data comes into the picture heavily. Many times the production plants are divided into certain sections, and when you're increasing your automation capabilities, typically it's natural to start with certain areas of the production. But it's really important to understand that actually optimizing one area of the production plant typically is not the optimum of the whole plant. So that's why you need to very soon to have a holistic idea of the full production chain. What is really the optimum for each of the areas, thinking of the whole plant. And we have been really seeing that the data is the golden resource. Of course, this is generally being spoken in the industry, in the papers, but it's really important part of the future to capture all of the data that you can capture into the format and place where you can leverage it with other data. So you could even say that it's one part of the table of the elements here, kind of analogy there, very important kind of a piece of raw materials, if you would like to say like that. But again, the data, it's not enough only. You can see also many writings in the public domain that all you need is the data in order to generate something useful. But in the industry, you need also the context knowledge. This is important to really understand that you really need to understand what the data is all about. So in order to really leverage and transfer data into information, you need these three domains with the team in place when you really are working in these areas. And the context knowledge comes from typically from theory, from the experience of really being in the industry where what you are looking at. And the methodological digital twin concept is something where we connect our data and the sources of information, not including only measurements, but also economical information and some other information into the model of the plant and optimizing process that really tries to replicate the physical plant. And by doing this, you can really establish many useful benefits and use cases where you can leverage this type of setup. For instance, you can do predictions, what-if scenarios. You can make soft sensors out of the areas where you don't have instrumentation and so on. And here the adaptation is very important part of the running the models online. And Metso Autotech is really working heavily in this area, developing tools for our customers to leverage and collaborate utilizing the modern tools in these areas. So sharing of information between different stakeholders is also very important to consider. Finally, just a brief example of a recent case. We are at the moment working with multiple projects with our customers, implementing these type of projects where we connect, for instance, dynamic or static process models, getting them online. And by that, customers are getting many useful features in increasing the operation transparency and being able to respond to many operational challenges. Here in this example, there was a coal plant that was operating with 3 raw material types called ore types that were coming from the mine. And the challenge was to find out that what is the kind of optimal blending to really process those different ore types with highest profit possible. And the work was done with the simulation. The process was simulated and then also combined with all of the economical and cost data also into the simulation. And also as a very important source of information, the mining plan was combined into this model. The block model, it is called typically, how the mine is being planned to be mined. And with that type of simulation, we were able to really optimize this mining schedule with the customer in order to plan for the highest operating profits over 10 years of mine lifetime. And now in future, this model could be further connected with the real operation as it moves forward. Okay, that was a short keynote. Hopefully that was interesting. You found it interesting. Not sure if there are any space for questions or comments.
Well, thank you so much, Ari. So it was a really interesting presentation. I especially like this intersection between the mathematics, the domain expertise, and this software engineering and computer science, because I think that's exactly what we need. We need to have the domain expertise into this data handling.
Exactly.
But you also talked about that you developed your own platform, so you try to provide this support to your customers. Do you also see that how do you think these platforms will interact with other platforms in the future, or are you already doing that?
Yeah, that's true, and you need to really think about these different interfaces, and the platforms need to be kind of ready to be integrated with other platforms to provide information that they are producing. So that's considered, and it's important part of that.
Great. Yeah. So thank you so much, Ari, and
you're welcome.
Really interesting keynote. I think we'll move on with the program here. We have a short time in between the keynotes, and we really want to get on so we can move into this workshop part where we get you to work as well.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you. So we move on to the next keynote. And that is Peter Burman, who is the program manager for mine automation at Boliden. So Peter has moved between both the telecom industry and the mine industry. So I would say he's probably a perfect candidate to talk about how Boliden works with mine automation. And he's also been successfully running, or been part of at least, several of these PiiA projects. So Peter, welcome, and the stage is yours.
Thank you. Now we'll see if you'll be able to share the screens.
Yes. So I'm really interesting what your title is going to be, because when we talked before, it might be about a kid's book or a kid's story. So is that still on, or?
Oh, I think I skipped that for today.
Okay.
I must leave it as some sort of cliffhanger, so you will call me in later as well.
Yeah.
Okay, can you see the first page in the beginning? It was all dark.
We cannot see the screen.
It isn't sharing though.
Now it's happening something. Now.
Okay.
Yes,
perfect.
We can see it in the beginning.
In the beginning, it was all dark. This is the way I very often start my presentations, due to the fact that very often when you are talking about digitalization, most of the people have not been in a mine, but they do have some sort of perception idea about what a mine is. And it's very often in their perception a dark and lonely place. So in the beginning, it was all dark. What is important to state here is that one reason why we are working so hard with automation these days in the mining industry, it is one of the factors when we talk about the underground mines, that the mines are getting deeper and deeper. So we also introduce a lot of new stress on the rock, etc. So we have a lot of safety problems. That said, my name is Peter Burman. I'm the program manager for the mine automation program. And today what I will talk about is mine automation in general. I will talk a little bit about the digital strategy, if we have one. And I will go through 13 projects in 5 minutes. Okay, so the mine automation program, the short story, it is a cross-functional program, research program. And the goal is quite simple. It is to improve productivity and mine safety. Today, I will mainly focus on productivity, but that said, it could be important for you to know that this year, 21, we will spend more money in research related to mine safety than on productivity. I think that's quite unique, but it is probably another presentation. During my presentation, I think it's important that you keep this in mind. It is a large chunk of my standard presentation that I need to leave now due to the time constraints. But generally speaking, remember that Boliden is a lean company, and we are focusing very much to keep the flow in the production. So behind roadmaps, etc., that I will show you, you have a lot of work that has been done when you go into and do the analysis on all the unit operations that you have in your production for that specific mine. About the digital strategy, the presentation you will see now is 3 years old. The first presentation was held at Boliden Supplier Summit. And the setup of the presentation, you will see it is very much, the focus is towards our suppliers. It's important for you to keep in mind. So soon, everything will be connected. So when you move around in the mine today, you will see more or less everything that is in place is connected, or we have planned to make it connected. In this case, I took the example of a mining pump. It's probably one of the least sexiest product you've ever seen. It's a piece of metal that is in the bottom of the mine, and it's giving away very strange sounds, but it's really important because dewatering of a mine is essential. And now will these products also become a part of the Internet of Things hype that we have right now. Okay, when you had the job that I have, you had the opportunity to go around and meet a lot of different companies. And it's quite interesting to see. I mean, the presenter before me was talking about turning data into some sort of gold or precious metal. And that has been the perception of a lot of management team for a long period of time now. I guess that they are looking at these big tech companies from US, for example, Amazon. And I think when I asked my illustrator to put together a monster that was Amazon, I said, write it in a way that you don't know if it's kind or if it's going to come and eat you up. And I think that she succeeded quite well. But when you start to listen at all these digital strategies that we have out on the market right now, it's really interesting to see that people start to turn into a lot of discussion about farming. It is greenhousing, it's seed money, etc. But in the end of the day, they always talk about that they will start something up that will grow organically another way and up into the cloud where you will find a lot of gold. And what is really interesting, it is that you talk about this as some sort of innovative process that is going on. But for me as a customer, what I see, it is that all companies have the same plan. It's Caterpillar, this is an old presentation, it's Epiroc, it's Husqvarna, it's Sandvik, etc. They seem to have the same idea that they want to grow up into the cloud with their data, and they want to deliver additional services and supply of goods, etc., through these cloud solutions. The problem, though, for us, is that very often at these kind of conferences, you have a focus on what the suppliers want to supply to the market. What I want to present to you, it is the customer dilemma. Imagine that you have a factory in the future where you have the focus on, remember my picture about the flow? When you want to optimize your factory, and each and every supplier have created a data silo, like you can see in this case, in this picture. Everybody is growing up into the cloud, but we can't do the optimization of our factory because we can't see the sun because of all the clouds. Okay, so what I try to stress here, it is that due to the lack of cooperation you can see in some parts of the business, when you have a lot of competitors that is competing, I would say maybe to death in this case when it comes to protecting the data, it is that sooner or later we will have other players that will step in and do this necessary data integration. And when it comes to industrial system like SCADA system, etc., maybe you will have a business idea soon that Amazon will step in and more or less give away this kind of SCADA system for free, as long as they can profit on these services that will be delivered through the cloud solutions. Of course, this is a way trying to scare our suppliers to open up the data. Okay, so Boliden has put together a strategy, and this is what our suppliers meet when they meet our purchase people. It is that Boliden, we own all data. All data should be open, and we always need one integration point for data inside our own intranet. About this thing with the productivity, I mean, remember that I was talking about flow, and the previous presenter was showing you a picture about a factory that is fragmented in different parts. And as long as you look at one single part, maybe one machine, it is okay if you have this kind of data silos. But as soon as you try to optimize on system level, the flow through the whole factory, or you want to combine data from Internet of Things or big data, new sources, etc., that we probably don't even know what they are today, into a new, better optimization of the plant, open data is a must. Okay. I will now show you the roadmap that we have at Boliden Mine Automation Program. You can see on the left-hand side, we have 3 focus areas. It is infrastructure, it is production control, it is autonomous machines. Production control and autonomous machines, they will generate value. And infrastructure, it is the supplier of the technology that make production control and autonomous machines work. So what projects have we up and running now? This is a pretty cool project we are running together with Volvo. It is remote control wheel loader and a water truck that we will have delivered to our site in Kankberg in Q2, and the plan is to put them in production test during Q3 this year. And this is really cool because they will go in directly after we have blasted, and the first one will do the watering of the blast, and then we will have a loader that will start to take out the ore. Then we have performed during this autumn a test with remote scaling, these big machines that take down loose rock. And this is a project we are running with a small supplier called Yama. And Boliden has been in charge of some of the tests. So we have tested 2D cameras as well as 3D cameras. And you can see that the operators are trying out the differences we see between these two solutions, and it seems like the operator prefer 3D. Then we have trials going on with autonomous trucks from Epiroc in this case, but we have also two other projects up and running in other mines where we are using the same kind of technology from Sandvik. This is the pit viper automation going on in the big open pit in Aitik. These big drills are now on autonomous mode. All of them, I think, from just a month ago. And we are now starting to do the implementation in Kevitsa in northern Finland. We also have a pre-study ongoing to turn these big mining robots into, these mining trucks into robots. Most likely we will have a decision on this investment during this spring. You saw this boring part about proximity and mixed traffic. What is that really about? It has to do with the simple fact that if we want to have people working close to this machine in the future, we need to solve this safety system that has to do with the proximity of people working close to robots. This is a pretty cool project. We are running it together with ABB Robotics. It is to use a standardized industrial robot for charging the explosives. Due to the time constraints of this keynote, you can see that we have also a lot of projects up and running when it comes to production control. Simulation and modeling is a part of it, but also visualization of data, for example. And when we come to infrastructure, we are together with Ericsson. You can see in the middle here, we are benchmarking Wi-Fi 4, Wi-Fi 5, 6, LTE, 4G, and 5G networks in our mine in Kankberg. And the plan is to figure out once for all, what is the real-time performance for remote control of machines in this kind of networks. You can see that we're also working with high accuracy positioning services, and we have test robots that are testing network performance. And I added one last page for you to see what we try to achieve with this new test robots. It is to measure the network quality in all parts of the mine, and it will be able to see that on heat maps like the one you have in front of you. So we know when we send in new robots or remotely controlled machines, if we have the data throughput and the latency required for that machine. So you can see here the roadmap that we have, and you can see that we have corresponding projects that is supporting this roadmap. So we are quite pleased. So in summary, what I have been talking about. Remember all these services growing up into the cloud, and my idea about this Kinder surprise is that you have three surprises in one egg. And that has to do with the simple fact that normally you do the optimization on unit level, but then you can add on system level, and on top of that, we have the new data sources. And if you want to reach level 2 and 3, you need to have open data. That is the message. When it comes to the generic discussion about the digitalization and the digitalization plan, it could be of some value for you to know that Boliden doesn't even have a digitalization plan. The focus is totally on flow in the production and productivity and mine safety. Digitalization is just a tool to reach these goals. So it's more like we look at the safety problem, do the analysis on that. We look at the flow and the bottlenecks we have in the production, And then we backtrack that into what technology can be used to be able to solve these problems. And very often that the answer will be a digital tool. Okay, my friends, in the beginning, it was all dark. We can now see the light in the end of the tunnel. It's the train coming, and it's written mine automation all over it. Thank you.
Tack. Thank you so much, Peter. Very interesting presentation and very interesting projects. I wish we had the time to have a lot more questions about this project, but I think the time is running out. So thank you so much for all your presentation, both Ari and Peter.
So we're going to move on to a keynote. And since we already have one keynote from Finland, we had one from Sweden, and now we're going to move on to a keynote from US. And it's going to be Prachi Vakharia. She's head of alliances and strategic partnership at Safe AI. And she works with safety standards for autonomous vehicles and also vehicle-to-vehicle communication technologies, digital shared mobility projects. So she's really, it's going to be really interesting to listen to what she has to say about data and how you're handling data within your company and what you see as the potential with it. So Prachi, welcome, and the stage is yours. If you have any slides, you're free to share them.
Fantastic. I am sharing slides. Are you able to see them?
Yes, we can see them.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
And can you see the notes on the side as well?
We can see it's in the presenter mode, I think, right now. So.
Okay, let me change that. And now you could see it full screen?
Now it's perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you everyone for having me today. As Aros mentioned, I'm with Safe AI, which is a Silicon Valley firm. Our focus is in leveraging data and automation to bring autonomy to the mining and construction sector. So my focus a bit in this talk is really to talk about, again, data and automation, but also how Silicon Valley startups are looking at it and what is a bit of the edge they provide to the mining industry. So let me just quickly mention Safe AI. So Safe AI, we build autonomy for heavy equipment. I'm sure many of you have heard of companies like Waymo, Argo, etc. All of these companies that are building autonomy for passenger vehicles, right? Giving us a driverless vehicle future. There are also a lot of companies like I think it's in Sweden, Too Simple and others that are building autonomy for trucking. What our focus really is for heavy equipment. And that again, why we pick this sector comes back to the data itself, because heavy equipment, if you look at the sector, it's for about 15 years already, they've been seeing automation. There are companies like Caterpillar, Komatsu that have been investing in automation, but yet only 3% of existing equipment in mining today is automated. So that tells you there's a huge need for smarter data collection, for smarter autonomy in these sectors. And also they're more willing to pay for it, right? If my car becomes autonomous, I save a few $100s in time not wasted. If a mining truck becomes automated, they save thousands of more dollars in becoming automated. But let me back up a bit more, because autonomy, digitization, all of this is driving the new mining worlds today. Some key trends I want to talk to you about are, of course, artificial intelligence. So what we are seeing with AI is AI covers a wide range of smart computer systems that learn from previous experiences, right? And in the mining sector, that's used again to improve processes. It's used to improve the production of different machines as well, and of course, efficiency overall. Another trend is the usage of drones. Drones are primarily getting used for mapping and information gathering in our sector. The next is ubiquitous connectivity. So it's been very easy today to set up low-cost networks that are connecting all the different machines together and allowing machines to share data, share location, share the status of the different equipment, and thus make the entire mining site smarter. The next trend I'm seeing is move towards electrification, and that's not that's an electric motor, but typically what I'm seeing is it's powered from a hydrogen fuel cell. So, and then the last trend I'm seeing is something called digital twins, where it's a simulation of the entire mine environment that's created digitally. And this then simulated environment, this digital twin is used to understand, are there going to be any process breakdowns? Are there going to be any disruptions? And really forecast that using the digital twins. So these are some 5 key trends that I'm seeing at Minds today, all of it related to collecting more data and reacting to systems smarter. And then let me come to Safe AI. Like I mentioned, Safe AI, what we do is we build autonomy for heavy equipment. So that includes your rollers, dozers, skid steers. And what's driving this, I think, is very exciting as well. The Safe AI model is a retrofit model. So that means it's not a car that was made or not a piece of equipment that was made to be autonomous. In fact, you have a regular truck instead, and we put in a bunch of different hardware components on top. So LiDARs, cameras, other sensors on top of the truck. And then we put our autonomy software as well, and that's how we make it autonomous. The benefits of this, which I think are really interesting, is first on the production side. So now with the vehicle completely autonomous, we are able to tell real time, right? What is the speed of this vehicle? Which direction is this vehicle moving in? What is the location? We can control all the cycles that the truck takes. So say a truck in a mining environment has to get loaded up with materials, some minerals, and then it has to go to point B to dump it, right? Now we can completely manage that entire cycle, and that builds and brings a lot of reliability and stability to the systems. So again, there's less downtime, less high fleet utilization, and the increase of runtime as well. So very little idling. And all of this helps in going back to our clients and saying, well, don't invest in autonomy for the sake of autonomy. Look at the data. Look how much better you can manage your fleets. And that's the value proposition. One other thing that autonomy can do is increase productivity. So I'll give you one example. Recently, we signed a partnership with a company called Goodyear. I'm sure maybe many of you are familiar with Goodyear. It's a tire company about 100 years old based in North America. And Goodyear has created these sensors that go into their tires that alert the driver every time the tires were getting too heated up. In previous times, a lot of times the drivers or the operator of the vehicle would simply ignore these tires. Oh, I mean, these warning signs coming from the tires. Okay, I can go a few more miles, it's fine. But now with autonomy, what we can do is actually collect this data from the tires and use that to better operate and run the vehicle itself, right? So if the tires are getting heated up, we know that the tires need replacement, or we'll know to slow down the speed of the vehicle or take other measures. So I think the productivity gains is also really interesting thing that autonomy and smarter data can do, right? Not just for us, but also back for the mining companies and making sure their tire costs, each of these tires cost thousands of dollars, so their costs go lower over time as well. Well, this is just a quick video, but when Mina invited me to this talk, one thing she also mentioned is give the startup experience. And I want to share a bit of how Safe AI views working in the automation industry as well. So for us, we work with Caterpillar, we work with Komatsu, but we work with big mining equipment companies. And while Caterpillar and Komatsu have gone with their own autonomy, for us, it's, well, let's learn from the passenger vehicle sector, right? So if you think of passenger vehicles, there's been a lot of innovation, which we've not seen in the mining world. So what are the true learnings there? How can we make our industry as dynamic as that? And some of the lessons we've learned are, supporting startup innovation, we think is really important. We have all these startups coming from, right, like in the sector, coming from Silicon Valley, coming from around the world. And for automakers, companies like Ford, GM, Volvo, etc., to be involved in investing in these companies, I think is really important, because that shows that you are able and willing to partner. So instead of building autonomy in-house, you outsource it to Silicon Valley, right? And you find partnerships that assist you. The other thing, what we found in the passenger vehicle industry that I think our industry in mining sector can also learn from is hedging bets. So not just putting all the eggs in one basket, but if you look at many companies, they're invested in multiple autonomy solutions, not just one. So if you look at traditional automakers, they're not just going with one company and one partner. They'll invest in multiple ones, and vice versa too, right? You have both VW and Ford now coming together and investing in Argo. So these are some of the lessons we feel that passenger vehicle industry, which is extremely dynamic, can teach us in the mining world. And then to end my brief discussion, just a quick video of what autonomy can do today. Here's a sample. Fantastic. And I am available for any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Prachi, for that presentation. I wish we would have time for more questions, of course. That was really interesting. And if you want to get in touch with you, Prachi, I'm sure the participant can contact us and we will forward the information for you, of course.
What will happen next then? So Daniel, can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Like you said, the output from this session will be the input for the coming sessions during 2021. I think we have a timeline on the next slide here that you will see.
And that comes later.
Yeah, sorry. So basically, I will show you a timeline about the activities coming during the 2021. But first, Peter, tell us a little bit about your projects in PiiA.
Yes, so I can talk a little bit about. So now you've been discussing a lot, and what I understand, you might also have some proposals that you might like to further investigate. So we actually have this call within the PiiA program that will open in end of February. And it's targeting towards how we can cope with this industrial data to make it more accessible, and also how we can share it between and also within the companies. It can be projects within business models, how we can create new business models relating to sharing this industrial data, but also how we can use these advanced analytics of the industrial data. And as we heard before in the keynotes, I think it's really important that you look at, you need to have this system perspective, and you need to understand, have the domain expertise to be able to do this analytics of industrial data. You can't just take the data and think you're going to succeed in it. So then also we have proposals that you can write about security and integrity. Of course, really important to be able to handle that when you look into the data domain and sharing data between companies. And also, of course, we would like to see that data is an enabler for a sustainable and circular industry. And that's also a really important thing to consider in this. So it will open in the end of February. You can apply for maximum amount of money is 5 million SEK for projects, but you can also apply for smaller ones in pre-studies. And you need to have 50% in co-funding from the industry as well. So it will open in the end of February, and if you have any more questions about that, you're free to contact me and look at our webpage when it will be published. And now, Daniel, we have this timeline of the future activities.
Here it is. Thank you so much. Like you see, we have a lot of things going on. This is just the third activity of a bunch of activities that will be launching during the 2021 in the Nordic IndTech sector. So we do this in many forms. We do this in this way with the workshops, but then we will do it also in the kind of talks where we invite experts in different areas related to IndTech to give their examples on different topics. But we will also do this in matchmaking and virtual and interactive visits. And all of these activities are leading forward to the big conference, the IndTech Summit, planned for in June 2021. So the next Nordic IndTech is already in March. So stay tuned, and we will give you more information about that in the coming weeks, of course. So I think in the meanwhile, if you have any more questions or you want to get in contact with us or PiiA or any of our partners, we are here for you. And I am happy to see that all of you are a part of this IndTech movement that we have started right now. So to summarize, thank you so much for contributing with your time and with your expertise in these discussions. The output will be the input in the coming sessions, so I hope you will join us also then. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. And thank you all that were listening and really participating in this workshop. So we hope you will be back for next workshop as well. So take care, everyone. Stay safe, and hope to see you again.